Windows 7 was designed with Multitouch in mind, and now they've made raw touch data available to WPF applications in .NET 4. In the next few minutes, we're going to take a broken touch application and enable it so that it correctly responds to Multitouch. So this is the application as we left it at the end of the Windows 7 and 7 Touch demonstration. I can pan around and look at an image thanks to this clip geometry, but if I try to use Multitouch, I get jumping effect and it's clearly not working correctly. So we're going to fix that. So the first thing I'll do is go into the XAML and remove that single ellipse geometry that we were using to draw the circle and replace it with a geometry group. I'll give it a name. We'll just simply call it clip group. And I'm going to set the fill rule to non-zero. Next, I'm going to set the visibility of the image to visible. So at this point, if we were to run the application, we would just get a dark screen because with the geometry group being empty, there are no clips to make the image visible. So it's okay to, at this point, to then stop worrying about image visibility, and we can just leave the visibility set to visible the entire time. So let's switch to the code behind, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a dictionary that will allow me to keep track of multiple ellipse geometries. So in order to support multi-touch, we need to be able to clip the image in multiple places. So we're going to need multiple ellipse geometries, and we'll store those in a dictionary called clips. Now you can see that the key for this dictionary is touch device. So in essence what we're doing is we're associating each ellipse geometry with a specific touch input. Next up, we're going to remove some code that we don't need anymore from the touchdown event handler, and instead we're going to create a new instance of ellipse geometry. So rather than having one defined in XAML, we're just going to create them on the fly. And notice that we're going to set the center point of the ellipse geometry to the location of the touch relative to the main canvas, and we're also going to set the size so that it has a 100 pixel radius. Now I'm going to store that ellipse geometry into that clip group as well as the clips dictionary. So I'm going to essentially store it in two places. One place where I can keep track of it, that's the dictionary, and then the other place I'm going to add it to the geometry group that I defined in XAML. Now let's move down to the touch move event handler, and I'm going to add a line of code here where we pull out that ellipse geometry from the dictionary, and of course as the key we have the touch device. So that'll give us our ellipse geometry, and then all we have to do is use that ellipse geometry and set its center property to the new position based on the touch point. Now the last thing we need to do is modify the touch up event handler. So we're going to get rid of that visibility change. We don't need to worry about visibility anymore. And instead what we're going to do is we're going to grab that geometry group and we're going to remove from that geometry group the ellipse geometry that's associated with the current touch device, the one that is being released at this point with the generating the touch up event handler. We're also going to remove it from the dictionary because we don't need to keep track of it anymore. And that is the last change of code that we need to make. So let's see how we did. Now our application should continue to work with single touch, and it does, but now I can add a second touch point and I can pan around, and the application supports as many touch points as our hardware supports. And look, we even found Waldo.